Dorine Onyomanegemunte. Welcome to Igbo Shrine. We discuss Igbo concepts. We explain them from an indigenous ancestral perception. Anyada akowaye based on what I see online or based on what I see understand there from an Oka church perspective or as Onyoka. We explain these Igbo concepts based on how our ancestors understood them. Now, this concept of Akalogheli, I also want to make note that it is not just Akalogheli that in the Igbo refer to as negative energy. We also have Otro, we have Oral, we have Uke. All of them are compressed into this thing that we call mmuo, negative energy. Now, the thing we need to understand is that in the Igbo, the concept of ekwensu is far different to the concept of the devil in Christianity. Now, it is an indoctrination and it's also an erroneous interaction to perceive ekwensu as the devil. When we move into the Igbo ancestral perception, how we perceive the concept of ekwensu, we do not regard or have it in mind that ekwensu is some kind of force or energy that is anti-God or anti-everything that is positive, that is beneficial, that is benevolent or beautiful. No. Just like they perceive ekwensu to be an antithesis to all that is good. We do not perceive ekwensu as an energy. There is that antithesis, just like Christians perceive the devil as. In Igbo cosmology, the ekwensu is different. Therefore, ekwensu does not have any bearing in relation to negativity as in the Igbo. This is where these concepts of negative energy, mmuo, where they creep in. Now again, these energies, now I also want us to understand that these energies are incorruptible. We cannot say that an energy is ultimately bad or evil, and we cannot say that an energy is ultimately good and benevolent. Now it depends on the context and how it is being used. These are the things that basically gives it the next adjective of whether it is bad or evil or good or benevolent. Now we need to understand these things as in the Igbo, because of our indoctrination, we have these things at the back of our mind that it's either something is good or that thing is ultimately bad. But from our own indigenous perspective, there are in-betweens. We don't see things as ultimately good and we don't see other things as ultimately evil or bad. This is why these energies are not ultimately bad and they are not ultimately good. But we also see them as tools or things that cosmic energies use to enact punishment. There has to be a cause. Something has to cause it or influence it to be what it is. This is where power comes in. For instance, I'm a powerful person. That I'm a powerful person does not mean that I'm ultimately good or I'm ultimately bad. But how I use that power that I have will determine the result or will determine the next adjective to use. Again, let's say I'm in a position I'm in a powerful or political position, and I used my position as a politician, as a governor, to basically land grab, like what we are seeing in many parts of our neighbor. Take people's lands or community lands forcefully, or I basically take what does not belong to me or misappropriate public funds. This is where you would now say that my power has corrupted me. I am now a bad person. So to me, power is power. To Ndibo, power is power. It is not ultimately good and it is not ultimately bad. Now, with this same instance that I've just given, relate it to these things that Ndibo refer to as negative energies. Now, we have this here now. Now the context in which Akalogheli is used as Igbo is referred to as plurality, which means Ndi Akalogheli. It is not just one. It is Ndi. It is a collection. This is where other entities like Ocho or Ra or Uke, where they all basically come in. Now, this therefore connotes a collection of entity spirits that are used by cosmic or universal entities to exert punishments in order to enforce a socially acceptable behavior. For instance, let's look at the Igbo concept of Agwu. Now, in Igbo spirituality, we perceive Agwu as a force of creativity, which means it possesses the capacity or the capability to generate new ideas, concepts, or expressions, often leading to innovation, originality, and imaginative output. Therefore, when this force, this creative force, is made manifest in the life of an individual, it drives the individual into the manifestation of those innate abilities. Hence, when this concept of Agwu mmadu becomes the cosmic oath of Akaraka mmadu. Now, for you to say na Agwu maragi, it means that prior to your birth, prior to your existence, is an oath that you have sworn with your chi, your cosmic forces, and your cosmic beings in the and they are all in an agreement that you're going to be in a certain position. You're supposed to use that your connection to this cosmic being to basically benefit and basically do things that the society, your community, your family, those around you are going to benefit from. Let's say na Agwu marari now, but Agwu orogu na bahiya. It simply means that you're going to use your knowledge of herbs and roots to make medicines that people in your community, people around you are going to benefit. When they take those herbs, it is going to heal their inflictions. And in situations when you now fail or reject this cosmic connection that you have, it would now be reserved to these cosmic beings to use entity energies like Akalogheli, Uke, Ocho, Orapo, and the rest of them to basically punish you in order to enforce a certain kind of behavioral result or output. So we see Akalogheli is not bad, but when you derive, when you move outside of this cosmic oath, this is where the results or the effects of this Akalogheli becomes negative to you. Now, other actions or activities that you would do that is going to result to the same thing as Agwu is when you participate in actions Itikpo, the destruction of ancestral shrines, igbakota mmuo, the rejection of ancestral altars or the rejection of your cosmic cause, etc. It provides a justification for offended spirits to seek retribution using spirits such as Akalogheli in order to correct, appease, and make sure you realign to them. Now, what does this mean here? Now, because of our affiliation to the church, many of our ancestors participated in the destruction of ancestral shrines. Now, currently, many of us in this present generation are now being encountered with series and series of misfortunes that are now making us to go through the divination system. And whilst we are going through Igbo, it has now been revealed that the cause of maybe an ill health, some kind of mortality, some kind of insanity, or some kind of problem that we're experiencing in the family, it is because that our ancestors participated in this Itikpo or igbakota mmuo azu. It is now because of it that those spirits, because they are offended because of that act, would now use these spirits like Akalogheli to basically punish you, to exert punishment. And by exerting that punishment, the idea here is for you to, when they exert that punishment and you find out that this is what is happening to you, you would now be able to appease and realign yourself with them. That's where you appease and you reconnect with them. Even if you don't want to reconnect with them, you can just appease them. Apologize for doing what your ancestors or what you're not supposed to do, because some people, even in this current generation, are still participating in Itikpo mmuo and agbakota. So you appease and you realign with those forces. If not, they would use spirits like Akalogheli or mmuo or to basically punish you, and by doing so, you're going to basically see yourself running from pillar to post. Now, the second aspect of this, which basically it is just me and my thoughts, going through, okay, why did our ancestors give, apart from the spiritual connotation of some of these concepts, is it possible that our ancestors used their knowledge of these spirits as a form of social, as a tool for social and behavioral control? Now, when we talk about Itikpo mmadu, is it possible that our ancestors were able to say that if you do or commit or engage in one or two kind of activities, that Annie, the goddess Annie, she's going to punish you? Is it true that they use the fear of those spirits as a form of social and behavioral control, just the same way we use the police? Is it possible that our ancestors used that the long arm of justice is going to catch up with him or her? It is certainly going to prevent that person from engaging in those social behaviors. So you will see that the judicial system, the police, becomes a deterrent, which is a tool for social and behavioral control. So again, is it possible that our ancestors used their knowledge of these negative energies as a tool for social deterrence, preventing people in engaging in some kind of activity? Now, this means the free will to act and live as one chooses is dampened, weakened, or controlled by the fear of being afflicted by this negative force we refer to as Akalogheli. Now, to basically prevent being at odds with Akalogheli, there is now become an explicitly need for behavioral adjustment, for behavioral change, and basically acting according to socially acceptable norms. This is where social vices like promiscuity, womanizing, theft, murder, etc. was now called. And I now call this thing a form of a psychological warfare. It becomes a psychological thing. So I'm just writing, I'm like, is there a need? Who knows? It is possible. It could be because of this thing. That's why our ancestors have, put up these energies. They're not telling you, if you do this or if you act in this particular way, these energies are going to afflict you, or this and so and so da. Now, we also know that we have the causes and the manifestations of Akalogheli, and one of those causes, we will now see people when they now engage in these socially unacceptable behaviors like promiscuity, womanizing, theft, etc. When we see them actively participating, some of them are now being infiltrated with the orapo or ocho. These are negative energies. So in order to basically prevent these things, our ancestors will tell you, don't be a womanizer, don't be promiscuous, don't steal, don't murder. And once you're doing it, you avoid being in contact with this negative energy, avoid being punished by ancestral and familiar forces with these particular negative energies. Now let's look at the manifestations of Akalogheli. Now, Akalogheli is perceived as a set of spirits that are capable of causing and influencing misery and misfortunes on an individual. We call it ibutere mmadu nseke. And we say nseke, we are saying some kind of a problem, things that are unnecessary, and they'll be dragging you from pillar to pole. You're just struggling with, misfortunes and problems that you don't know where it's coming from. So we call it mmadu, ibutere mmadu nseke. We also believe that these spirits malevolently deviate an individual's success. When good things are coming your way, because you're being soiled and inflated with these negative energies, those good things that are coming to you would not manifest. And at the same time, the same thing with when you're being promiscuous and when you're a drunkard, you will see that you will not be able to articulate yourself. You cannot be able to basically consecrate on your work, on your career, in order to basically progress and be better than your yesterday, when you're constantly engaging in these social unacceptable behaviors. Now, another manifestations of this Akalogheli is that we believe that Akalogheli is known to riddle an individual with issues and situations and circumstances that would crumble an individual's business, therefore persuading an individual to engage in these socially unacceptable behaviors. You see where it's now coming from. Once it is now probing and inflicting your life, it will be bringing issues that would make you to even actively engage yourself in this. Maybe you don't know, your business is falling apart, and instead of you to concentrate, you're busy engaging in alcoholism. It could be done by these negative spirits, and because there is a cause, and because that thing is happening, if you're somebody that is spiritually aware, you will know that our ancestors believe that when things like this are happening, we run to Bechuku to go through the Igbo divination system. And by going through the Igbo divination system, you can now be able to ascertain and know why it is happening, and be able to fix those problems and realign yourself and move on from what is happening to you. Now, other manifestations could be, it can kind of make you and your family would be useless, having different kind of call it generational curse. A problem that is in my family is the same problem that is in your family. Maybe you come to a family and we'll see grown-up women and grown-up men being, grown-up women are not unmarried, and grown-up men are not being successful. So a lot of them, and we now basically classify those things as some sort of a generational curse. Now, Akalogheli would cause problem within the family. It would make mother to hate daughter, daughter to hate mother, father to hate son. It's just be causing problem in the family. And one reason why it's doing that is because it needs to ensure that in the sense that if we want to seek for solution, we will not seek for solution. So it takes a lot to get out of the influence of this Akalogheli. Now again, Akalogheli can also make or incite people to just hate you. It would heighten people's hatred towards you, now prompting them to avoid you, and for no just reason, and they will not even have the zeal to engage with you in any serious profitable dealings or business. And we just call this thing trouble. Like, you experience this thing countlessly for no just reason. A business deal that is supposed to fetch you a lot of profit, all of a sudden becomes to it is no longer happening, and it is constant in your life. We call it ochu obuba. And this thing can be as a result of the influence of Akalogheli and these negative energies, and it is coming from the particular source of this enmity between you and your cosmic or ancestral forces. Now, what are the modes of a transmission of Akalogheli and the solution? Now, like I said, it can be caused by the enmity because of the things you did. Itikpo mmuo, igbakota mmuo, or other things that you did. But physically, as a result of because of social deterrent, or because of what you're doing, now you can get Akalogheli based on the company you keep. Now, because you have a relationship with somebody that is living some sort of a wayward life, it can basically come to you. It can affect you. Now, if you frequent events, if you go to clubs, if you every time your whole life is surrounded with always rocking it and going to clubs, you're likely to have issues with this borderline Akalogheli. And if you frequent bars, because when you go there, these are dense populated areas, and because those places are dense and populated, it means that you have different people from different backgrounds, different origins, different spirits that are following people that you don't know. And by friendship and by association, you are likely to be inflicted by Akalogheli. Even funerals. This is why very heightened spiritual people, ndị dibia, or ndị ọzọ, ndị chiri echichi, people that have traditional titles, they don't attend funerals. This is because they are trying to prevent the infliction of Akalogheli. Now let's talk about the solution. I wrote down here that the best solution to Akalogheli, or the best strategy to defeat Akalogheli, lies in your ability to first and foremost identifying the source or the cause of this energy. Now when you're done identifying the cause and the source of this energy, you can now be able to curb, which is through appeasing and trying to align yourself with those energies that you want. Or you can perform sacrifices like Ekwa Aja Akalogheli or Ike Ogwo Akalogheli. We call it evil spirit deterrence. Ike Aja or Akalogheli, evil spirit deterrence. Now the second one is Ekwa Aja, and all those things is going to be performed by the dibia and not necessarily you. Now when we're now talking about the kind of Akalogheli that we get as a result of our social activities and our social calendar, it is now where you will now basically curb the kind of activities you engage in. Now once you've gone to some certain areas, or when you've gone to some certain places, it is now up to you to perform what we call, use your alligator pepper to cleanse off your energy. And periodically you have to basically self-clean off such energies and now become aware and not to engage in some of those socially unacceptable behaviors. Now once you're doing all those things, these are the surest and the easiest way to curb the effects of this negative energy as Igbo. So we're going to stop here in this discussion of Akalogheli, and we also know that we should have this at the back of our mind, that this concept is broad and it is difficult to explain, but I hope I did a very good job and you are aware and you now understand what the Igbo people or our Igbo ancestors means when they said Akalogheli, once again, or you have issues with any of these negative energies. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any video recommendation you want me to work on an Igbo concept, don't also forget to let me know about. And until next time, Yagazia.